Hello, I'm Ethan, and this is my review of Joker. That's right, I can't remember. They always print those titles way too small. Now, jokes aside, the Joker was definitely an interesting DC movie. You see, a lot of the DC movies in the past have been rather garbage. I mean, Aquaman was okay. Suicide Squad temporarily made me feel ashamed to like DC movies. Let's see, and I completely forgot Justice League came out. That's how forgettable it was. Joker changes all of that. It turns it from a silly comic kind of superhero movie, similar to what you think would be Batman 1989, and turns it more into introspective on a killer, similar to a movie like American Psycho. Now, a lot of journalists have been calling this boring, slow, and other dull adjectives, and I couldn't disagree with them more. The Joker, although yes, it did have slow pacing, it really filled that content with cinematography and acting of such a high caliber that I haven't seen in months, maybe even years. As a matter of fact, I think I would call it the best movie of 2019, rivaling Endgame. Now, give me some examples, you may ask, because you can't just say, oh, it's great, and be done with that. The acting by Joaquin Phoenix is great, and I would say it almost rivals Heath Ledger. Almost. Now, Heath Ledger was a great Joker for a Batman movie. I think Joaquin Phoenix was a great Joker for a Joker movie. Now, The Joker is a movie about the titular character, you guessed it, Joker, whose real name in this film is Arthur Fleck. Now, in the DC community, it's very controversial to give the Joker an origin story. I know they did it in 1989 Batman, but I can't think of any other time the Joker was really given a past. Maybe in Gotham, but they really didn't play around with if they were the Joker or not. But I think it's all right in this movie. They really do it in such a way that it's serious, it makes sense, and you really empathize with him. Now, that's a big point where I love the movie. It really makes you empathize with the character. There are lots of shots where it'll just zoom in, well, not zoom in, it'll stay still on Arthur's face during some important moment, and you can just see the pain in his eyes. He's not saying anything, he's not doing anything. You can see his emotions in his eyes, and I absolutely love it. Now, there's a big difference between empathy and sympathy. Now, I'm going to go off a bit of a tangent here and talk about how people are saying this movie's going to spark violence because people are sympathizing with it. Sympathy is feeling emotion to a character and agreeing with their actions. Empathy is feeling emotion to a character, but maybe not necessarily agreeing with them. You know, I can empathize. The Joker, Arthur was having a very tough life. I really can't say anything without spoiling the movie majorly, but it genuinely makes you sad. You watch his heart break over and over, and even though you know this is a terrible person, you feel pity for them. Sympathy would be feeling pity for them and agreeing with what they do. You know, obviously the Joker does terrible things. Someone who sympathizes with them would agree with those terrible things. And that would also make that person a psychopath. A lot of news outlets think that empathy is sympathy. And so Fox News, CNN, NBC, all those news outlets, they're reporting this is going to start violence, this is going to incite, practically going to incite riots. But no, it is a brutal movie. I will admit that. I mean, it's got some stuff that's really hard to watch, but hard to watch in a good way. Now, Joker was hard to watch, but it was hard to watch in a really good way. I mean, I absolutely loved all the shocking things that happened. Now, I don't mean like, haha, it happened. I mean, you know, it got the proper emotional response out of me. The music, the setup, everything about those scenes was absolutely beautiful. But again, really hard to explain without spoiling everything majorly. And I think that's one of the places the Joker succeeds best, is its shock value. And frankly, I think this is a good movie for everyone. It delves deep into the psychology of a criminal. You can really empathize with him. The cinematography, score, acting is all superb. And lastly, it's just a damn good movie. I highly recommend you go see it. I give it a solid 10 out of 10 and a great review for my first one. Now, if you notice, there's probably still time left in the video, and I want to go on a tiny little tangent about the whole incel shooting up this theater thing. Now, if you don't know, an incel is involuntary celibate. It's a self-proclaimed title to a person who basically, they blame them not being able to get a girlfriend on society rather than their own personal issues. Usually these people, they don't exactly lash out in public. Well, sometimes they do, and that goes viral. They mostly just stick to Reddit forums, whining in a circle. They never really hurt anybody. Then one went outside and committed a mass shooting. I can't remember which one this was. But I believe that all the media outrage over that, and rightfully so, it'd be downright insane to not see a mass shooting as a tragedy. But all the attention focused on the shooter rather than the victims. They focused on, this person is part of the incels. These incels, they're terrorists. They're like ISIS. Which automatically gives the incels the idea that, hey, we can do this. That guy did it. Look how much the media is giving him attention. I want that attention. It's similar to copycat shootings shortly after Columbine. Now, do I believe that the Joker shooting's going to get shot up? Well, if you had asked me that before this whole controversy started, I would have said hell no. But, there is a reasonable fear nowadays. People are getting security checked at movies, and it's absolutely ridiculous that has to happen. But that's just the society we live in. It's absolutely crazy. And that's a huge thing the Joker touches on. It's a real tragedy that that's the world we live in. But let's get away from this super serious, grim stuff and put a smile on that face. Hey, post-video note. If you like that video, I know, generic YouTuber thing, like, comment, subscribe, because I need the views, I need the money. Oh, that sounds awful to say. But no, the phone right now, I'm recording through a phone sitting on top of a chair with no external lighting. It's a pretty crappy setup. So if you want these reviews to improve, I need a tripod, I need an actual camera probably, and I need some studio lights. Now, that's a lot of money, and that's a lot of views. Selfless promotion.